Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Q&A for actually both trans shorts programs for the festival. I would say that if you have only seen one of the programs, this is going to be at the end of both programs. So you can, if you don't want to avoid spoilers, you can go and just watch the other program, and then you won't miss anything or get anything spoiled for you. But if you don't mind spoilers, if you want to be kind of if you want to, kind of a preview of what's coming, this is a way to do that. I'm very excited for everyone that we have here to talk about their films. So what I would like to do, I think, is have everyone go. We'll go around and just like have a quick introduction. You can, let me see, let's talk about your name, your film, I guess like we can have the first question, which would be like, what was the impetus for your film? And yeah, and just talk a little bit about what your film is and what it means to you. So we'll start with Charlie.
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Charlie Brissy. I made Canis Major, which I started a couple years ago. So this film, very different than any other project I've worked on, mostly because I didn't really plan on making it. It was sort of a happy accident that unraveled over time. The film is about many, many true stories. One of them being the main kind of plot line is this about a writer, an artist who's working on a writing project who has really bad writer's block. And so to overcome their writer's block, they start writing this kind of science fiction narrative with their dog Leica, or kind of inspired by their dog Leica, all of which is one of the very true stories. I was working on this writing project and just couldn't get through it. So I started drawing these animations of my dog, my dog's name is Leica, who's based on Laika, the first dog that was sent into space, the 1951 Russian space mission. And so the project started with me just sort of drawing these animations. I'm a big science fiction nerd, particularly in the lineage of Octavia Butler and K. Jemisin, and kind of using science fiction as a way to think through or beyond the current moment, whether it's political or ecological, sociological, sort of imagining futures beyond the one that's directly in front of us. And so I kind of used some of those methods to get through this writer's block, but then ended up just producing this whole film that is part live action and part these hand-drawn animations. It's part fiction, it's part nonfiction, science fiction. So it's these layering of sort of all of these different methods and forms and realities into one 10-minute thing. So that's the short version of Canis Major.
It's a gorgeous film. I was really excited about the different visual aspects of the film, the animation, and the different looking animation, and yeah, there's a lot in the film that I really love. So thank you for sharing it with us. Let's go on to Nike, and can you talk about your film?
Yes, thank you, Diane. My name is Nike. My pronouns are they, them, and Enyan, which I just learned recently from the Yoruba tribe that I'm from. I'm a trans mask-identified person wearing gold-rimmed glasses, dark skin, some twists, and a gold hat and a green hoodie. I'm here as the founder of Doug Bossy Productions, and I'm also the writer and producer of Pink and Blue, which is playing at Wicked Queer. And Pink and Blue follows a trans couple of color, Black and Filipina, as they are wrestling with unexpected first-time pregnancy and the joys and sorrows that come with that. And the impetus for that really was a rumination on the question of why do we place so much pressure on children when it comes to gender, and what are some of the ways that we can instill before kids are born this open, inviting, safe space as parents, as community. So the director Carmen and I really wanted to create this space and this world that I think a lot of trans and GNC individuals, especially BIPOC individuals, might not have available, and certainly might not have available before they're born or as they're growing. And so if we could infuse this visual of an option that's like living and breathing that people can tap into to raise their children in this way that's accepting and gender free, which is also very indigenous, then maybe we can change the world just a little bit. So that's
very
Pink
cool.
and Blue.
I love, one of the things that like I find real that I'm kind of gratified about is everyone here kind of fits into the theme of home that I was trying to get to with like program 2. And Charlie's in program 1, and their film fits in with this very much so, because like so much of it is set in Charlie's apartment. So I think that I was really actually very excited about Pink and Blue, because it, you know, it did present like this, you know, this kind of very comforting kind of home life that a lot of us wish we had, you know. And so I just wanted to, you know, let you know that I was very excited about your film too. Next, can we talk to, oh, you're welcome. Next, can we talk to Noah?
Yes, hello. I'm Noah Seamus. I use they, them pronouns. I'm the director of Kind of, which follows two transmasculine folks in a newly open relationship, hashing out a bit of a fight in the 10 minutes before their friends come over for brunch. And the film kind of, the genesis of the film was actually having a lot of conversations and doing a lot of thinking about desirability and queerness in and the difference in the perceived differences or real differences in gay male spaces versus queer spaces. And then I was like, and my brain always works in telling stories. So I was like, these conversations are interesting. What if my partner and I had this fight? And so then my partner and I decided to write this fictionalized fight between the two of us that then became something that wasn't us anymore, but it was a fun genesis.
Cool. And the other thing that I would like to that I really appreciated about your film is that it kind of gives some representation to the poly community. So yeah, I haven't seen a lot of that. So I was really actually kind of excited to have a film that like was very, you know, comfortable in that space. So now we'll move on to Amy.
Hi, I'm Amy Jenkins, and I'm the director of Wishes. Wishes is a short documentary that follows my child, a decade of their birthdays from when they're about 5 to 15. And through the decade, you essentially see them evolving in their identity, and really you're able to grasp what it's like for a trans person to, you know, discover themselves, and through time be able to state who they are, and you know, really fully evolve in their personhood. And Adam is a wonderful collaborator. He and I are actually now working on a feature film together, which follows his high school years, essentially after Wishes ends at age 15. And that will most likely come out in the next 3 years or so. He's a senior in high school now. Yeah, Wishes was a kind of fun little piece to make. It actually was made in retrospect as opposed to knowledgeably making it through those years. Those are honestly like home movies that we really didn't think anyone would ever see. I'm a visual artist, and there's one or two more kind of head-on shots that really get into Adam making clear statements to the camera, and those were more planned, but for the most part, the piece is really compiled from home movies, which we went back and looked at as we were planning to start making a feature. And we put together essentially as a character intro, and that character intro evolved into Wishes.
Very cool. I love that film. I like watching Adam's progression, and you know, in the earlier little snippets, it felt like Adam was really like kind of, yeah, was not as, let me put it a different way. What I think happened was over time, Adam just kind of came up, got brighter and happier as the film went on, and I really loved that.
Mm.
Yes, and then let's move on to Anastasia.
Hi, my name is Anastasia, and I'm from Russia. My movie. I have a best friend from my childhood. Just okay. He was transgender, and in Russia, LGBT community have some problems with representation, and you know, and transgender is not
not an issue.
Not что?
It's not an issue.
Yes, and I want change that.
Change the view of our other people.
Other people. Скажи, что я хотела бы это поменять, чтобы в России все стало по-другому.
She make her film to make changes in other people's minds, because it's quite hardly to understand for most of Russian people what kind of being an LGBT part or transgender and all of it. It's really hard, and she tries to change it.
Yes.
Trying to help her friends.
Что он сказал? Помогла своему другу.
Да.
He, скажи, что типа он чувствует, ну типа что он чувствует себя нормально, и типа он помогал мне делать этот фильм на начальных этапах, короче.
Her friend is feeling okay, and he is helping her to make her film.
Oh, okay.
It's most basically help to others people that don't know what to do with it and how to live with it.
Okay. Cool. So one of the things that like I really loved about your film was that it was kind of visually it felt like kind of surprising, and I thought it was really beautifully made. And I also like the thing that you're talking about with like Russian society and how you work that into your film was really I very much appreciated that.
Ну, типа по поводу того, что ты говоришь о российском обществе, типа они это очень принимают, поэтому можешь сказать спасибо.
Oh, thank you very much.
You're welcome. So let's go around again. I want to talk to Charlie for a minute. So I just, you know, I love the way that you synthesize so many different threads into like something that became like such a great whole. And I think that, you know, I like that I like the juxtaposition of like your apartment in black and white, and then all of this color when you're like in your imagination, like the different things that you're building your story out of. So I'm having trouble here, sorry. Sometimes I do well at these and sometimes I really don't, so give me a minute. I think that like one of the things that I would like to know is, did you feel like this was like a distraction from your writing life? Did you feel like you were like actually still like creating, you know
That's
what
a
I
great
have to
question.
say?
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
just
yeah.
lost.
No, I think I get it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's a great question. No, I think so. I teach at the University of Michigan, so I exist in academia for better or for worse. And so that I feel like, you know, there's so many. Oh, I won't get into talking about academia. There's so much there, but there are all these sort of, you know, these particular ways that we're asked to write or communicate ideas or information, not just in academia, but because I exist so much in academia, I really see it and feel it in that way. And so, no, I feel like if anything, this really reminded me that there are so many different ways to think. I'm also a dancer and a choreographer. I teach in the dance department. And so sometimes
This
when I
was
get
so much
stuck in
synthesis.
writing, yeah, there's a lot of dance-ish sorts of things in this film. So a lot of times when I get stuck in this particular way of writing and communicating kind of sort of big theoretical ideas, you know, just through sentences on paper, that just doesn't work. That's just not the form that kind of fits. And so if anything, this film really allowed me to kind of finish that writing project, but in a really different way than how I started it. And just kind of remember that there's like a million different ways to communicate ideas. And if this way is still not working, then like, you know, screw it. I'll do it some other way and just kind of let it live somewhere else. Yeah, which, you know, I just kind of forget sometimes when I'm like, you know, constantly taking, yeah, in this sort of academic loop of whatever, all these things we have to do. And so I think that's a great question though. And so much of this writing project I was trying to write in this particular way about things like interspecies interdependence and entangled matter of ecological thing. Like it was like these really sort of big, I don't know, sort of theoretical concepts, but they're actually just like very physical and very, you know, when I sit down next to my dog, I feel everything that I'm trying to write about. So to just sort of let it exist in this more sensorial space made a lot more sense in this way. I hope that answered your question.
Oh, it did. It's like,
Okay.
and actually it inspired like a second question. Have you done much animation? Because I really love the animation in this.
No, I'm not an animator at all. I've never drawn. Haven't drawn a picture in 10 years, and so that was a whole new process. And so even just that way of thinking, of like drawing, that repetition, that task of like drawing, going to the next frame, drawing the next frame, and that it was not planned. I didn't really plan on making this movie. And so it was totally improvisational. And so as I was in it, it felt like writing, to be honest, because I was like, oh my gosh. And then like the head could start to morph into an octopus, but then the octopus limb could like become this, and then they're in space. And so it kind of became very much what writing feels like to me when the writing is working. This sort of improvisational like search for something or how to communicate something. And so no, I think taking on this new practice of hand-drawn animation was really special and important. And you know, I'd never even considered trying to do that before. It was an accident, but it worked.
It really did. I mean, I thought the animation was really like fluid. Like the dance sequences I thought were like really they felt like physical. Like the movements were very, like they felt very embodied. They weren't like abstract. Yeah, I was very excited with this film, and one of the things that really made me want to put it in was like the beautiful yet simple animation that you know conveyed so much of the story.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. So Nika,
Okay. And I also would love to bring in, see Carmen, our director of Pink and Blue is here. So
Oh, great.
for this next question. Hey, Carmen.
Sure. So where did you find the two performers that you used, and how, and yeah, I think that's where we'll start. Let's start with that, because I might find something else in there.
One of them's me. So
Oh, really? Oh, I didn't recognize you. Oh my.
so life, I don't know, for me.
Yeah. Mhm.
And Jojo Brown, who plays Armani, has just been a dear friend of mine in the acting community, and we started in theater in New York, and so I've been a fan of hers for a while, and I was like, I'm going to write some things for you. You're a muse of mine. So that's just forever. That's going to be forever. And this just happened to be serendipitous. I don't know, Carmen, did you have anything else on cast beyond us as well too?
Yeah, I mean, it was such a blessing to work with Nike and Jojo, and then of course, because we have a couple other family and friends who sort of helped out with the film. We had the Boscos in the film, as well as my partner Ari, so that was pretty cool. So it was kind of like, all hands on deck.
Right. And also, I kind of want to hear a little bit more about your thoughts on trans parenting, like that gender-free parenting. I have some friends near where we're moving to who have specifically kept gender out of the, like, made gender like not an issue as much as they can with their child. So I'm interested to hear more about that, and where you where that became part of the story. And
I am not a parent. So it's definitely amusing, an amalgamation of other people's experiences, just listening, but also I think an inherent kind of, I'm rubbing my heart right now, indigenous thing that I kind of tapped into. There are many practices where there are many cultures where gender was not indigenous to the culture. So I think it's already existed. So it's really just tapping into before, to understand how to create now, create safe space and representation. So yeah, I don't know that I have any like tips to offer, but I definitely think that the answers are available, and I think listening is probably the easiest way. Like, listen
Right.
to your.
Absolutely.
I don't know, Carmen.
Oh, I don't have any tips. I'm not a parent, but but I echo that. We have a lot of Filipinos in the film. I'm also Filipino, indigenous and Afro-Indigenous as well, and I think that was a lot of inspiration for me, knowing that in our indigenous languages there really isn't gender. I guess, like, I don't know how to explain. I'm like, I don't, we're humans,
Sure.
So
I was just intrigued with it because I know people who are doing this, and it just seems like such a thing that I wish that I had when I was a child, so that I could just figure it out rather than having it pushed on me. So I really appreciate that this film exists for that reason.
Thank you. I
and
really
I,
feel
also, I guess I also want to kind of, can you talk a little bit more about how your indigenous cultures like inform this film? Is there more that can be said about that?
I think Carmen really touched on it. It's just I'm not a native speaker of Yoruba. I'm also Igbo as well. So I'm bi-tribal. And I think I really wanted to make this character an African diaspora character and a Black American character too. So this character isn't someone who has those direct knowledge ties and roots, which is I think very a widespread notion and experience. So I wanted to feel like exactly what you got from it, Diane, is kind of what I'm hoping, that like anyone can see this and be like, oh, I can do this, or like, oh, it's not as hard as I thought, or it's not as far away from me as I thought. So as I'm saying it's also indigenous, I'm also saying it's like it's already here, you know.
Sure.
We just have to listen for it. But yeah.
Cool. So
Carmen, did you have any? I didn't want to.
Diane,
yeah, let's no. Okay. So Noah, one of the things that I really thought was great about your film was just like the subtext and the dialogue, the way that the tension, like the actors like caught the tension and kept it going, and then but then never quite went over the edge with it. I just, you know, they're both like both of your actors are like very seasoned, right? They've worked a lot.
Yeah, they're both really talented.
Yes.
And do have experience. I'm really grateful that they were willing to come on board in this little experiment that we did.
So once again, I'm searching for the question I want to ask.
Diane, can I jump in?
Oh, please do.
So I guess my question is, and I had a conversation earlier with a filmmaker, and I kind of want to get everyone's kind of hot take on this, is often in the sort of American sort of trans narrative, it's really kind of almost obsessed with sort of the transition process and also sort of the sort of body modification, hormones, surgery, and stuff like that. But what I find very refreshing in this program here is there's a lot of gender nonconforming sort of stories. How is that sort of representation sort of important to kind of like expand upon the sort of transgender cinematic sort of narrative and also subvert it a little bit? Anybody who wants to go? Sir. Anybody?
I guess I'll start. Yeah, no problem. Like we definitely, I mean, we've been kind of like working and building this world for a while. And one of the things that I didn't want to do is like point at any of that. Like I'm like, we know that our characters are trans, we know that they're non-conforming, we know that, you know, all of these things exist, and we don't necessarily have to, I'm not going to cater to an audience you know, to explain it to other people, because we really wanted to make sure that the integrity was there in terms of like, this is for us and it's by us, you know. So I feel like every single part of it was like, you know, if you have to Google it, or if you're caught up on, you know, trying to figure out gender, like then you're missing the point of the film, you know. So that was kind of refreshing, just as a non-binary creator, and just I don't know, there it was very affirming, you know, to share in that experience with so many people who felt the same way on our team. And it was interesting to see, you know, people who did respond to it with questions. And that was like, okay, great, we're doing something right. You know, like so Nika, did you have anything to add to that?
No, I think that was really well said. I was just kind of going through as you were saying that, just remembering us editing and creating and like and bringing in audience input. But I was just valuing you in this moment too, of how much you were like prioritizing community and making sure that our integrity remained throughout. So thanks.
I'm happy to touch on that as well. I mean, with Wishes, it traces Adam's evolution way before hormones and surgery and everything became part of his personal narrative. And just touching on what Diane was asking earlier, in regards to parenting, I think that what we really wanted to show with this film is how gender is not really an issue in a person's life pre-puberty. It really is just non-existent, and it's only really a societal construct that tries to push that, you know, as soon as a child is born, or like in Pink and Blue, what you guys are fighting up against, you know, even in utero with these kind of like gender reveal parties. And so, you know, if we can avoid the way that society really wants to push that gender narrative, it really is non-existent in a child's life before they have to start really experiencing puberty. And one of the things that is maybe an undercurrent in Wishes is that you really start seeing Adam having to be much more firm and vocal about his identity around age 13, which is like when his hormones that he was born with are starting to flow through his body, and he's starting to realize, you know, listen, this is not the body I want. And so and as a parent, just to be very tuned in at that age and really listen, you know, throughout the process. I know with both of my kids, we tried to do the best to keep like societal constructs of gender out of the way we raised them from a really young age. Mm-hmm. Adam has a 5-year-old, a brother who's 5 years younger, who you know, was constantly misgendered, so to speak, as a child because he had waist length blonde hair. And so we actually would kind of celebrate the fact that our kids were completely, you know, if we got on an airplane and the pilot would ask Adam to come look at the, you know, controls, and the stewardess would give Elias, my younger son, you know, pink crayon or something. I can't even tell you, but it's just to our amusement that our kids never fit in the boxes, which we really loved.
Actually, yeah, that's a really great thread, Sean. You know, like Anastasia's film is like comes from a society that's very rigid about gender, and you have 3 people who have had to really reflect and to and work out how to be themselves in that context. I really like Marina, how she was, you know, she was probably like in the roughest situation with family, but had like this really generous sense of humor, was really funny. And I think that like, I really hope that the film has an effect in Russia. I don't know, has the film been seen much in Russia?
Спрашиваю, типа, имел ли эффект?
Типа в России?
Да.
Скажи, что в России пока не принимают ни на какие фестивали.
You know, that in Russia, that film not even exit on any festivals. It's not in this mentality to...
Скажи, что я, когда подавала диплом, мне не хотели его пропускать.
That film was her diploma project on the end of a university, and the commission don't want to take it. They want to push it down and don't let it go as a final project. They trying to reject it and pressure to change the theme of the film on something about World War II great pavilion.
Yeah, that's so yeah, there's I'm remembering that there is like a lot of official resistance to any sort of LGBTQ story in the Russian Federation. Correct?
Basically, our society is like yours, but 20 years ago. So, про то, что типа...
У них, как у нас, так у нас на 20 лет раньше?
Наоборот, что у нас сообщество...
Встает на 20 лет? Не на 20 лет, больше.
Ну, на сколько?
Это просто Путин все. We have a terrible government, поэтому... So...
That's a lot of in social media that's talk about that's wrong. And it's its effect on many peoples, and we need to start from something, and this film is one of the steps.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely, and thanks for the film. I really hope that some movement comes from it, that people get to see it. So I want to talk to Charlie for a minute on this same subject. Charlie, like one of the things that I was really intrigued with about your film is how, as far-ranging as it was, how like from and this whole spectrum of things that it covered, gender is not talked about at all. It's there, but it's not something that is like expressed in a in a upfront way. And I wondered about your choice to do that, if you just felt that wasn't what the film was about, or...
Yeah, that's a great question. No, it's not explicit at all, which was very intentional. I mean, I'm queer and trans, and I'm in it, so the film's queer and trans. I don't know.
Right, that's exactly why I justified.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's kind of some sexy moments that get kind of explicitly queer in some of the animations, but yeah, I mean, in terms of the content itself and the story's not about gender. I mean, it's not explicitly about gender or sexuality, but transness, but the way that I see all of those things living in the film, which I do think that they're all there, is kind of in some formal ways, the sort of clashing of the live action and the animation, that's kind of like the way things don't quite fit together, or the kind of moving between worlds, the way that this human character really identifies with the dog, or the kind of a body flung into space, where there's some sort of relief in this this dog that's sent into space, and everyone thinks the dog dies, but it actually just found this whole magical different world and then comes back to Earth to tell people about it. There's something in that kind of a narrative that feels like a queer narrative to me, or a trans narrative, that I so deeply kind of identify with. And so I feel like it was kind of intentionally not like, this is a film about queer narratives and gender, but it's,
right.
The way the animations, the bodies morph, the kind of dancing body turns into a fox and then an octopus. And so those sort of transformative moments really do have to do with gender, but in a very kind of non-explicit way. And so, that was kind of an experiment to be not so on the nose. And but then, there are a few moments where I made sure it was very obvious. Like there's some very clear body parts in those animations that you sort of
yes.
like, this is
I was noticing that like one of the bodies, of the bodies was very clearly female, but the other one, there's like nothing telling you in any way what physical gender this person is.
Yeah, and that was intentional because I often experience that, or feel like people often know I'm trans, but don't know in which direction, or, you know, sort of like they don't quite know like FTM, MTM, or like there, and so there is something in that, I don't know, that kind of experience that is interesting. I don't think I really meant to do that in the film. Maybe I just sort of drew myself the way I feel or something, but or kind of everything. It's not that it's nothing, it's sort of all the things depending on the moment.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I really appreciated like how it kind of made you think about gender, that it was there but not talked about, and like and how it was referred to through other elements of the story. I was, you know, I was really happy to. I love it when I have films that like come at this issue from kind of left field or very subtle directions. So yeah, thanks for that. And with Noah's film, what I liked was that it wasn't about so much male or female or even non-binary. It was about cis versus trans and attraction. And I'm wondering if you can talk a little more about that.
Yeah, for sure. I don't think I can speak like broadly. I guess I'll just speak for the characters. Yeah, I mean, I think that like for Micah, who's the person who is at home initially and who's the one who kind of sparks the fight, they are experiencing anxiety about being desirable in the face of like in the face of their partner being attracted to like a quote unquote, and this is, you know, heavy air quotes, like traditional gay male experience. And I think a lot of this anxiety is not like for the characters is not like, I think part of it is based in a reality of the differences between like heavily cis gay male spaces that are very policing of people's body and gender, and like the, you know, the language that is sometimes, I mean, has hopefully fallen more out of fashion, but is sometimes on dating profiles that's like super transphobic, super racist, super fat phobic, like all this crappy stuff that's part of these like hyper masculine cis gay male spaces. The character is reacting to like a fear of an attraction to that, or their partner's attraction to that, and like not being enough in the face of kind of what in the last, I don't know, 30 years has become like what we like prize as like what we think of as like the prized gay male space. You know what I think? So it's, I don't think that this is grounded in like every trans person's experience is like this, but it's a very specific anxiety that I think our character is facing in order to kind of unpack without answering too many questions like that.
Right.
Those differences and those anxieties.
Right. It wasn't resolved on like any kind of like global level. It was really about those two characters.
For sure.
Yeah. Cool. So I think I'm gonna ask like one last question, and you know, I think I got kind of two questions that may not be related, but maybe they are. And I think the question is, how are you doing a year into COVID, and what are you planning to do next? And we can start with Charlie.
Sure, good question. I don't know. It changes every day. I don't know how I'm doing. Some days are fine, other days feel crazy. No, it's, you know, I feel good, I guess. I just got a vaccine a few days ago, so that reality is sinking in, even though I don't really know what it means. I'm like, all right, cool. What do I do now? Like the same thing like that. You know, I don't know. So I do feel like things are changing. I'm on leave in the fall, which is the first time I haven't had to teach in I don't know how many years, and so I have, yeah, the next project that I'm supposed to be working on is actually a live performance project. I'm collaborating with Alessandro Rosario, MFA candidate in dance here, and we're making an evening length multimedia dance video kind of, yeah, lots of stuff going on, performance. But that we have to do that, we have to be in person. So I'm sort of thinking through like, how do we get back into some in-person rehearsals, and what does that mean? Yeah, so I'm not quite sure. Yeah, plenty of projects. I still don't know how to plan things or how to travel. So I'm trying to figure out how to be around people and how to start traveling again. And those are still kind of question marks, but it feels promising.
Yeah, that sounds really exciting. It sounds like a nice progression from the film that we've programmed.
Yeah.
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 Nika and Carmen, do you want to talk? Well, let's start with Nika first, I guess. Nika. I keep doing it wrong. Sorry.
How am I doing? Yeah, I'm gonna echo Charlie day to day. Just definitely trying to keep the faith, keep the push on, and keep creating and try and get more resources to create. It's the hardest thing. It's just trying to build. But speaking of building, I'm working on a sci-fi short film called Mix Ifedayo, which explores, oh, what people know. Yeah, I've never ventured into sci-fi before, and I'm also really tapping into Yoruba mythology and folklore. So I'm doing a lot of research and reading and trying to really, just tap into indigenous roots with this one. So it's gonna be fun.
Yay, more science fiction.
Yeah.
That's why I was clapping. I really encourage every filmmaker to make genre films, especially sci-fi.
We love those.
I was on a panel talking about queer representation in sci-fi, and it was dismal. dismal.
We're coming.
Yay!
We're coming.
Great. Carmen, did you want to?
Oh yeah, I actually made a sci-fi, so so I'm in post for a queer dystopian thriller. It's like the opposite of this being feel good. So you know,
oh, awesome.
Yeah, so I'm doing that, and then if you're around the summer in New York, I'm producing Pride Plays. So we're gonna have an outdoor theatrical event. So come through for the last week of June if you wanna, buses, trains, automobiles, all the things, New York City. And other than that, I'm just trying to continue collaborating and making work that centers Black and Filipinx community because that's my home. So yeah.
Great. Fabulous. Noah, what's up with you?
How am I? Great question. I don't know. Day to day again. People, yeah, that's it. But I am working on some stuff. I'm shooting a short film. I mean, knock on wood, again, like many questions about safety and stuff, but I'm sure we're working on that. But a short film with my friend over the summer, and then hopefully another short film that's a proof of concept for a feature. And I'm developing a first feature right now.
Oh, great.
Yeah, I'm excited. I think that's it.
Send it our way when it's done. That's great. Awesome. Amy, I think we talked a little bit about your current project that you're working on, but perhaps you'll want to say more. And how are you doing these days?
Well, it's finally spring in New Hampshire, which says a lot. You guys being from Massachusetts understand New England winter has been brutal. And so I feel a sense of hope, honestly, and moving forward finally. It's been tough raising kids during the pandemic. I have two teenagers, a 13 and an 18-year-old, and this has seriously impacted their lives and just their capability to be social. And in a few weeks I'm finally going to get to see my dad, who's been in a assisted living facility. So I feel really finally there's some movement. And Adam and I are still filming for Adam's Apple, which is the name of our feature. And the pandemic has definitely altered what we thought our storyline would be. We really thought that this final year of high school, we were going to be more opening up to his peers and really being able to film a lot with other teenagers. And of course, none of that was able to happen. So with documentary film, you just have to, of course, ride with what's going on at the moment. And the story is forever evolving.
Sure, that's
Um,
actually one of the
but
things I love about documentaries.
yeah, and so it's difficult to say where everything will end up, but you know, this is a longitudinal film that essentially covers a person's and a family's life for over a decade, for most likely about 15 years when it's finally done. So we're riding with it.
Well,
And yeah,
I look forward to seeing it when
Thank you.
you have it.
Thank you. I
Great.
will.
All right, so okay, Anastasia, if you can answer these questions, and we know that I'm terrible with names. So, who is translating for you again?
Кто тебе переводил фильм?
Типа что? Кто переводил фильм? Ты, еще девочка. My Russian and Kyrgyz, как это?
Кыргызстан.
My Russian and Kyrgyz friends. And he said it's one.
Right.
He helped me to translate this film, yes.
Right. No, I really appreciate it. I'm trying to remember what your name is because like I say, I'm terrible with names. Was it Sergey? No.
Нет. Анастасия, Иван.
Say again? Javan?
Иван. It's basic Russian name.
Ivan. Okay.
Very
Sorry.
stereotypical.
Yeah. Like I say, I am terrible with names. All right. So anyway, how have you been doing, and what are you working on?
Что я собираюсь делать?
Да, что типа сейчас происходит и что ты будешь делать потом. Ну, вот как раз то, о чем я сказал.
Ну, скажи все то же самое, что я
Рассказать про Катю и что типа.
Ну, про Катю, да, и про.
Okay. Right on this moment, how it's going. One of the persons in this film is Katya. It's a speaker who work with teenagers and lead some group of psychological, moral help and information. Ты говоришь, она часто в Америку ездит?
Ну, как спикер от России.
Да. Katya is sometimes traveling to United States as a speaker of Russian trans society, trans community. In the future, you know, this film was made without money at all. It was clear enthusiasm. Not money at all, no budget, just an idea. And we hope that this festival and another, when we trans that film, it's kind of help us to make some budget for a new project. Or make help to find and it's quite hard to speak on English.
Sorry.
Oh no, it's fine. It's good to know, and I wish you luck with another project. Like I say, there were things about this film that I was just like really, really happy with. I loved the little animations. I loved like the rocket, the amusement park rocket. How when it just showed up the first time, that was just like, oh, that's so cool. And I loved your three subjects. I like, you know, Katya and German and Marina. I thought they were all just fabulous, and I wish them all well. And And the same to the two of you.
Ну, ты можешь сказать просто спасибо.
Oh, thank you very much.
You're welcome. So I think that we can probably call this done. Is there anything anyone would like to say that they felt didn't get said?
Хочешь что-то добавить?
Да нет.
That's been a pleasure.
Same. All right, so thanks everybody, and for everybody watching, definitely watch both programs. They're both very good and very different. And I'm very excited about all of the films that we're bringing you in these two programs. So thank you, everyone. Thank you very much for coming and for bearing with my whatever it is.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I really look
Thank you
forward
and
to
good luck.
Спасибо.
Спасибо большое.
Bye.
Yeah, I want to thank everybody too, and also to encourage all the viewers to watch the Trans 1 and Trans 2 programs that are available on Zerb TV, starting April 1st and running to the 30th. More information on those programs and all the other programs of the Wicked Queer 37th edition will be on wickedqueer.org website. And thank you all so much for coming. It's a great to actually meet everyone.
Same. Really
Thank you
glad to
so
meet you all.
Thank you. Happy Gabriel.
Thanks so
Thank
much.
you.
Happy
April.
April.
I'm excited to watch your all's films. I'm gonna go watch them now.
Yeah, me too. Absolutely.